Hello everyone, welcome back to Assetto Corsa on low fuel motorsport for what's proving to be a steep learning curve. I've never driven Cadwell Park before today and it is insanely difficult to learn. Just when you think you found every way possible to crash, this track comes up with a new one for you. Now I'm worried I won't be able to survive the full 20 minutes of this Mazda MX-5 Cup race, but if I do, I may just be in with a chance of a podium. I put a really decent lap together in qualifying and I'll be starting from P3. It does look like the front row of Nick Deed and Nicholas Gunzenhauser could be just a little bit too quick for me, and I'll no doubt be put under immense pressure from the chasing pack behind. But will I be able to cope with it all? Let's get on track and find out. And it's green, we're underway at Cadwell Park, and straight away a drive-through penalty handed out to Ivan Finoglio. Finoglio ruled to have jumped the start from P6. Meanwhile, we take a big nudge from Francisco Pasta right behind us. I was a little bit sluggish off the start line, but that bump from Pasta gave me an extra helping hand. I'm not quite so sure it's done him the same favour though, because he's lost a position to Finoglio, but we do know that Finoglio will be coming into the pits to serve that penalty. Speaking of drive-through penalties, another one has been handed out to Devin Jenkins. Jenkins started alongside me on the second row of the grid, but he had a much better getaway and he got past me to take third position before we even reached T1. However, we now know that Jenkins will also need to serve a penalty at the end of this lap, so although we're fourth on track, we could get back up to third. And on top of that, we've got the added comfort of knowing that the driver directly behind us, Ivan Finoglio, has also got to go into the pits, so things looking really good here. Let's just keep it safe and steady for the rest of this opening lap. The last thing we want to do is make a mistake on cold tyres. It was looking like I was starting to lose a little bit of ground on the front three, but I've closed right back in through Mansfield, and now we're approaching the famous mountain for the first time. I'm just going to tuck myself in nicely behind Jenkins through this section. There's absolutely no need to try and force an overtake. We know that he's going into the pits at some point. If not this lap, then the next lap. Hopefully it'll be at the end of this lap because it'll free up a bit more track space for us. Through Hall Bends then for the first time and into the hairpin. Such a tricky part of the track that you feel like you're teetering on the edge of disaster through the entire section there. But we're approaching the end of the lap. Is Jenkins going to go in and serve his penalty? No, he's not. Is Finoglio behind? No, he's not either. So we remain in fourth position for now, but let's check out a replay of the start on board with Francisco Pasta. There's the jump start in front for Jenkins before the lights go green. Now we're underway. Pasta gets a much better launch and he's closing in on me. He's going to bump me ever so shortly, which actually gives me a bit of a push in the right direction. So although it was quite heavy contact, no harm done, but the same can't be said further back down the grid. Look for the other dark green car a bit further back. That is Wouter Steenbergen. He is going to get tapped from behind by Thomas Bordies and all hell breaks loose in Coppice. It looks like 5 or 6 of the drivers towards the back of the grid got caught up in that melee, so boy am I relieved to have qualified further up the grid. Right, let's return to the live action halfway through lap 2. I'm still in fourth position and I'm still sandwiched firmly in between two drivers who've got to serve a penalty. I am beginning to drop away a little bit from the leading three. Devin Jenkins in third is now more than a second clear. However, Ivan Finoglio behind just 0.4 of a second. I'm hoping the pair of them will be going into the pits at the end of this lap, although Jenkins won't even get there. He has lost it through the Hall Bends. It's so easy to make a mistake over the brow of that hill, and Jenkins has gone. So that clears the track in front of me. Now my eyes are firmly focused on the rearview mirror. Is Ivan Finoglio going to go into the pits as well? Yes, he is. So we've got a healthy gap behind us now as well. And here's another look at Jenkins' exiting proceedings. It's so easy to lose grip when you come over the brow of that hill and Jenkins gets sent out onto the grass. So I'm now back where I started in P3. I'm holding on to a podium position. Now I said at the start of the race that the leading two might be a bit too nippy for me, and so it's proving. They've opened up a near 3-second advantage. Meanwhile, I've got problems behind. Francisco Pasta is closing in fast. He is now within half a second of me. We're only at 1/3 race distance, and over the past couple of laps he has been taking several tenths out of me each lap. So I suspect that he is going to start to make my life very difficult over the next lap or two. Up over the mountain again then. It looks like he might have made a mistake in the rearview mirror. He is still on track, but all of a sudden we have a 1.7 second advantage. Yeah, it was only the small smallest of mistakes from Pastor. He just runs in a little bit too hot into this left-hander before the mountain, which sends him out just a touch wide. But even the smallest mistakes at Cadwell Park punish you. So as we return to the live action, approaching half race distance, I've managed to maintain a 1 second advantage over Pastor behind. Meanwhile, the two drivers in front are starting to fight for the lead of this race now. As a result, they're slowing each other down, and I'm beginning to close in. So we're going to switch the TV cam on because the race leader, Nicholas Gunzenhauser, is starting to come under real pressure from Nick Deed. Now, we know that Deed is the quicker of the two drivers. He qualified on pole position, and his qualifying time was a good few tenths quicker than Gunzenhauser. Well, the big question is, can Deed find a way through on this ultra-tight Cadwell Park circuit? He may have to rely on a mistake from Gunzenhauser instead, and he won't have to wait for long because Gunzenhauser is out on the grass. He's surely not going to save that. He does! He fights to get it back on track. Deed read it perfectly, just took a wider entry into that corner and breezes past to take the lead. Meanwhile, we are closing right in on Gunzenhauser. We're now just 0.7 of a second behind. Well, now I've got onto the tail of Gunzenhauser. Can I stick with him? He wasn't that much faster than me in qualifying. I think his time was only a tenth faster. So will I have a sniff of second position here or not if I clip curbs as hard as I did there? That has sent me a bit offline through the Hall bends. It doesn't seem to have cost me too much time. I'm still within a second of Gunzenhauser, but I also still have Pastor breathing down my neck behind. He's within 1 second too. Well, let's take another look at Gunzenhauser's mistake. Coming through the gooseneck, he's starting to feel the pressure from deep behind, and he just loses the rear coming down the hill. It's such an easy mistake to make. I did it several times in practice, but every time I did it, I ended up in the barrier. So Gunzenhauser has done really well to save it there. We're approaching 2/3 race distance now, and I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping up with Gunzenhauser, but I just can't find those extra few tenths I need to get myself within striking distance. Meanwhile, behind, Francisco Pastor certainly isn't going anywhere either. He is starting to close in now, so we're going to switch the TV cam on again and ride on board with Pastor, and we can see the rapid progress that he is starting to make. I am going to get bigger and bigger in that TV cam as Pastor gets closer. Meanwhile, out front, Nick Deed is beginning to run away with the race lead now. He's got a 2 second advantage over Gunzenhauser in second, and he's 2.5 seconds clear of me. Through this tricky downhill section, this is where Gunzenhauser almost threw it away a few laps ago. We're through it safely again, but it is so challenging, that part of the track, and it doesn't get any easier from here either. Next, we've got the mountain to take on, and then we've got Hall bends and the hairpin. There are so many different places to crash on this circuit. And I thought for a moment that Gunzenhauser might lose it through that chicane. The rear certainly stepped out, but he's managed to save it and hold on to his advantage. I think there was a mistake as well through the chicane for Pastor too. He has dropped off a little bit now. He's now 1.5 seconds back as we come through the Hall bends. Oh, and it might be curtains for Pastor. He has lost it and smashed into the tyre wall. So Pastor has gone. That is a big moment in this race for me, because all of a sudden I am in a comfortable third position. I've got an advantage of nearly 4 seconds over Diego Perez behind. And let's take another look at Pastor's mistake. Oh, that car just let go coming down the hill on the approach to the hairpin. He didn't know anything about that until he was in the tyre wall. So as soon as Pastor crashed, the pressure suddenly lifted off me. All of a sudden, I was in as comfortable a third position as you could ever wish to have. And that's pretty much how it stayed over the second half of the race. We're rejoining the live action now on the very last lap. I'm 1.8 seconds behind Gunzenhauser in second. I've just not been able to keep up with him. However, Gunzenhauser has suddenly found some late race pace, and he's closing in on the race leader, Nick Deed. Whether he's got quite enough pace to bridge that final 0.6 of a second gap remains to be seen. There's only half a lap to go here. But look at the gap that I've built up over Diego Perez behind. He is more than 6 seconds back, so I am feeling really comfy. And meanwhile, in front, the yellow flag's right. Gunzenhauser is out onto the grass, and I've followed him out there. Well, that has blown Gunzenhauser's slim chances of a race win. Deed has taken off again, but can I challenge Gunzenhauser here? He's clearly a little bit ragged, and we've gained a second on him despite my own grass track excursion here. So I've got the bit between my teeth. Can I close him in? Oh no, I've lost the rear. I'm into the tyre wall. What have I done? Oh, it's going to take ages to get back on. I can't reverse onto the track, so I've got to slowly work my way around. Diego Perez has gone past into third position, and we may yet lose another place because Francisco Pasta is on our inside. I'm going to have to give him the space. And I can't believe I've just done that. I had as comfortable a third position as I could have possibly wished. 6 seconds clear of Perez, and I've chucked it all away with half a lap to go. That would have been my first ever podium in Assetto Corsa on low fuel motorsport, but instead I'm crossing the line to take 5th position. Dear, oh dear, what an act of buffoonery that was. I can hardly bear to take another look at it, but we're going to have to. And I just don't know why I suddenly decided that I needed to push and try and challenge for that 2nd position. Sure, Gunzenhauser made a mistake, but I made the exact same mistake. Had I not run off track there and stayed on the tarmac, then maybe I would have been a little bit closer. But as it was, I was still 1.5 seconds back. And I just came in a bit too fast, and without warning, the rear steps out. Yeah, by the time I put the brakes on, I was already gone. Well, I've made some careless mistakes in my sim racing career, but this was a serious misjudgment. I should have been happy with the 3rd position. Well, let's check out the classified results. On any other day, I'd be delighted with a top 5 finish, but when I've thrown a podium away with half a lap to go, oh, that's a bitter pill to swallow. My fastest lap in the race was a 1:40.7. That's several tenths quicker than Diego Perez, who ended up claiming that 3rd position. I was even a little bit quicker than Francisco Pasta, who finished in 4th too. Well, podium opportunities don't come along very often for me in LFM, and I have blown a golden chance to get one here at Cadwell Park. Thank you ever so much for watching. I am going to go and wash the egg off my face. Cheers.